Keller versus Southlake. Well, that is the question. Probably if you went online to search the differences between the two cities and you put in your search bar Keller versus Southlake, you were bombarded with football. And although football is king in Texas, chances are when you decide to relocate to one of these cities, well, you might want to know more than just the scoreboard. You may be interested in, well, the lifestyle. Both of these cities have very notable reputations. Keller is considered the most family-friendly city in the state of Texas, and Southlake has the reputation and has earned the respect of being one of our richest cities, and in some cases, the richest city in Texas. Well, we're going to talk about some of those things that you might normally see when you search different cities, you know, education, things to do, affordability. Oh yeah, we're going to cover those things, but we're going to also talk about the culture. You know, the things that you may want to know about, but you don't quite know how to ask. You know, is it politically correct? Oh yes, we're going to go there too. Are you ready? Hi, I'm Tracy Sorrell with the DFW Life, and I am a realtor in our Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This video is not an infomercial. I'm not a hired spokesperson for the city of Keller, nor for the city of Southlake. This is not a documentary. I'm just sharing with you some hot topics, some things that I hear when I help families relocate to either Keller or Southlake. So this is going to be based on the feedback of people who've decided to live their lives here, and they're able to make a comparison between the two cities. We're gonna drive around, we're gonna look at some of the shopping, because I know that's, you know, things to do, that's important. So we're gonna hop in the car, take a look at Keller's town center, compare that with Southlake Town Square. We're gonna also look at the other things to do in and around these two cities. So strap on your seatbelt and let's get ready to ride. Whether you decide to live in Keller or Southlake, you really won't go wrong. These cities are very similar. In fact, some people will say they have more in common than not. But there are some things, there are some differences that I'm certainly going to point out to you. Let's just start out with Keller Town Center. Keller Town Center has about 20 stores, shops, restaurants. It's very quaint, it's very nice, and it's small. So you can get out and really walk the entire, town center. What you'll find in the town center as far as grocery stores is Tom Thumb, but there are grocery stores, throughout Keller, of course. Park your car and walk across the street. From Keller Town Center, you're going to find Keller Point Recreation and Aquatic Center, where you're going to have indoor and outdoor pools, a lot of activities, a lot of classes. Part of the main Bear Creek Park, you can walk those trails over in there. Well, Keller ISD has the natatorium over there, right there in Keller Town Center. Oh, and if you've noticed on this drive, you're going to see townhomes and luxury apartments. They're very nice, but they are for rent. They are not for sale. So that is one difference you will see between Keller Town Center and Southlake Town Square, is that Southlake will have properties that you can actually purchase right there in the square. These cities are they're neighboring cities. You cross the street, you're in Southlake. You go back, you're in Keller. So once we hit Southlake Boulevard, we go down the street just a little bit, we're going to eventually arrive at Southlake Town Square. Now we're going to take a look at Southlake Town Square and compare that with Keller Town Center. Keller Town Center is very quaint. There's only a few streets. Yes, you can, park your car and go across the street and enjoy the things, but in Town Center itself, there's just not near as many things and options as you would find in Southlake Town Square. Southlake Town Square has about 130 acres. The grocery store that you'll find there is Trader Joe's. And, honestly, one of the differences between the stores and the boutiques, in Southlake, you're going to have more of an upscale, clothier, couture, unique fine dining. You will also just have a more sophisticated experience in Southlake than you would in Keller. And both of these places have great shopping around the town centers and town square. Right across the street. It just doesn't stop. But just looking at comparing the Keller Town Center to Town Square, it's not even a fair comparison. It really depends on what you want to do. But guess what? If you live in Keller, hop in your car and drive, just 9 minutes and you're right there at Southlake Town Square. Now let's take a look at some things that you'll see in Southlake Town Square.
Now I'm at Southlake Town Square, where there are over 120 different shops for you to experience, not including great restaurants. It's a diverse area. You have, let's quick go and grab some food. And there's some really nice upscale, unique dining places, restaurants for you to sit down and enjoy with your family and your friends. There's also so many great boutiques that you see. In Keller, you don't get the same level of boutiques and shopping as you would in Southlake. In Southlake, you have some exclusivity here in terms of some of the shops that you may find. I'm going to do just a little walkthrough. Actually, I'm going to get in my car and drive around so you can get an idea of the differences between Keller Town Center and Southlake Town Square, and you'll be able to see how much larger it is. But to try to be fair, I'm going to only go through maybe a street or two like I did similar to Keller, because this is so much larger here at Southlake Town Square. Now we're going to take a look at some of the condominiums and townhomes here in Southlake near Southlake Town Square.
Well, now that we've driven around and you've looked at the shopping available, Keller versus Southlake, let's hop over to a map so you can see other things to do around these cities. Well, let's first look at Grapevine. Grapevine is right next to Southlake, a little farther out from Keller, but in Grapevine, this is where you're going to enjoy, wine. This is our vineyards, wine tastings, downtown historic Grapevine, beautiful, cool shops and foods that you can eat. You're going to really enjoy that. And Grapevine is known as the Christmas capital of Texas. Then you're going to hop in your car and drive over to Roanoke. Roanoke is the unique food capital of Texas. Well, you can't be in a DFW Metroplex and not go to Dallas. Dallas is about 40 miles away. Fort Worth is about 30 miles away. Either way, hey, we're going to encourage you to invest in a toll pass, because not having the ability to get on our paid roads will just drive you bonkers. And then, of course, if you live in the Metroplex, you may want to take a flight in or out. Well, Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, as you can see, is right close to both Keller and Southlake. By now, you've probably picked up in your research of Texas that sports is pretty important, football being the king. But check out their school rivalry. We're talking tradition. All right, to be honest, Southlake Carroll, and Carroll is actually the name of the school district for Southlake. Carroll dominates. Academics, sports, they dominate. But Keller is a force to be reckoned with. They come to play, they come to slay. I mean, Keller, in some cases, can outpace Southlake Carroll. So either school district, either city you choose, you're going to do fairly well when it comes to education. It's going to really come down to a couple of other factors, maybe the cultures in those two cities. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But let's hop over to the academics part of these school districts and these cities, because I like to pretend and believe that sports is, that's just a second thought, but you really are more interested in the education of your student. Where I pulled together a number of resources: Niche, Texas Education Agency, U.S. News and Report, to give you some things that you can chew on and you can think of when you compare these two school districts. Well, let's just start with Southlake. Southlake School District is actually Carroll, and they have two high schools. The mascot for Carroll Independent School District is the dragon. And Carroll Independent School District receives a grade of A+. Well, let's compare that with Keller. Now, Keller ISD mascot is the Indians. There are 4 high schools there. The flagship, the oldest high school for Keller is Keller High. So, they have a grade of B+ to an A, but that kind of stands to reason. It's a bigger city. Keller has about 45,000 people who live there, whereas Southlake only has 31,000 according to the US Census. So think about it for a moment. Anytime you have a larger population where you have different styles of learning, a more diverse style of learning, diverse backgrounds, diverse homes that the students are coming from, versus a smaller city that may seem more homogeneous in areas, and I'm not talking about race or ethnicity, but more in the economic realm, they may be more similar, whereas the bigger cities, not so much. You have students coming in from all areas, and that might impact the overall ratings of the school. Now, remember, I said I was going to talk about things that may not be politically correct or popular, but let's face it, you want to know. So there is a difference, but the difference is based on the diversity of the students who attend the schools. So if you're looking school versus school, overall, Carroll is going to have the higher rating, the higher ranking, the higher scores, and the better performance than Keller, but Keller overall is going to offer more diversity. If you take a look at the graphs, you'll be able to see the ethnic breakdowns in the different schools, Keller and Carroll. And another important thing I want to point out is Southlake Carroll has 0% economic disadvantaged students, and Keller has 6% of economically disadvantaged students, which, think about it, it stands to reason. Again, that goes back to the size of the population. The more people you have, the more diversity you have in different areas, which include economics. But here's the part where we just get down to it, the culture of Keller versus Southlake. I'm going to share with you some real stories, true stories of clients and people that I've helped relocate here, so you'll get a perspective of what their opinions were and why they made decisions to live in either of the places. Both Keller and Southlake, like I said at the beginning, have very notable reputations. One being the richest city, one of the richest cities in our state, and one having the reputation of being the most family-friendly cities in our state. So it just depends upon what you like, because you notice there are some similarities. There's some similar things to do as far as the overall lifestyle. Now we're getting down to, the economy of it all. What does it cost to live in these places? And cost is not always the price. So when you look at Southlake is where you're going to have your professional athletes on the roster and retired. And with that comes a sense of being elite and exclusivity. So this is not a race issue or a racist issue. I believe it comes down to economy. So either you can afford to live in Southlake or you can't. That's just going to take it off your list from the top. But if you're considering Southlake versus Keller, then you're telling me you can afford to live in Southlake, but you're not quite sure if that's where you want to live your life. Because I don't want to make this to be a race thing, because it's not a race thing. Because I also had members and people who I've helped buy homes in Southlake versus Keller who were of the dominant race, who were white, Anglo, however is politically correct, you know what I mean. And they too decided they wanted to pull their students from Southlake because they didn't feel like their kiddos fit in for whatever reason. They just felt like even other professional Dallas Cowboys, Texas Ranger, Dallas Mavericks who decided to move to this part of our Metroplex, some of them started out in Southlake because it's a no-brainer. That's where rich people hang out, and that's where they live. But when you peel away the layers of the onion, you peel away all of the other things beyond the shiny, pretty things, they thought for themselves that they wanted to take a look at Keller and move to Keller because Keller is a more diverse area to live in. And there are people that I know, families I've helped, they love Southlake. They are like, Tracy, what are you talking about? I don't get it. Love it here. We never had a problem here. So, it's not to say one is better than the other. You have to decide what's better for you and your family. And you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Come on. There's so much ethnic diversity here. If you are looking for someone to look exactly like you, however that is, then you're in the wrong place. Keller, you're not off the hook. There's some people who feel the same way about Keller. They think Keller is a little cliquish and Keller has a have and has not, because every city has that dividing part. When you have a Keller address, but you're closer to Westlake and Southlake, well, it's a total different beast. So there is division no matter what, but I'm just telling you, based on selling a lot of houses in DFW Metroplex, Keller and Southlake, there is that small little voice inside of you that I don't know, that can make a difference. And we can talk later about that. But if you want to have a more diverse experience, then Keller might be a better spot for you. But I can't say that. I can't go to court, put my hand on the Bible and say you got to move to Keller, because there's so many great families that I know in Southlake. They absolutely love it. And it doesn't even matter the race. Trust me, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, it does not matter. So I just wanted to pull that out and talk to you a little bit about it, because I know that that's some of the questions that I hear really often when people are really deciding between those two cities. So talking about affordability, obviously you can afford either city or you wouldn't be comparing those two cities. Let's talk about the homes. So both Keller and Southlake, you're pretty much landlocked in both cities. There is some new construction going on in both areas, but it's going to be a little bit more, quite a bit more expensive, because the one thing we can't duplicate is land. If you look home per home, the prices are probably more affordable in Keller versus Southlake, because again, Southlake has that reputation and it's just more expensive. It's like comparing, Beverly Hills to LA. They both got incredible things and there's wealth in both, but Beverly Hills is going to be more expensive. So I would say the average sales price in Southlake, if you're just looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, who knows what average is, right? But you're looking at upper $800,000, and that's a steal, that's a sale. Go write it up, get it under contract. But on average, you're looking at $1 million. One that doesn't need rehab or just level it and start from the foundation. In Keller, you can find a nice home, as low as $500,000. Less than that, it's a steal, snatch it up. Get that home under contract right away. But you're gonna get some $1 million plus homes there too. So if you're looking at Southlake, you're gonna be in Keller, probably look at the $1 million plus, nice, luxurious, craftsmanship. Just top of the line in Keller, because you're gonna still want your home to have a certain amount of character and certain expectations that you would have, just because you're in that price point. Doesn't matter the city, you want that lifestyle. So that's something I want to just point out. You're going to get more affordable housing in Keller than in Southlake. Oh, remember we looked at, the townhomes and the apartments in Keller Town Center. Those were rentals. The ones that are in Southlake, well, those are going to be $1 million properties. Even some of the townhomes are going to be $1 million plus, because in Southlake, there was not multifamily living. In Southlake, it's single detached living. So when they brought in the idea of multifamily homes, we checked the box. There's multifamily, there's townhomes, condominiums, but they're at a pretty expensive price. I think this about covers it all that you could probably stomach in one video. I have done individual videos for the city of Keller and Southlake. So this one is just to compare between the two cities. You're going to love both. Honestly, they both have great golf courses, shopping, whatever you don't have in your city, get in your car and go to the next one. You're going to Dallas, you're going to Fort Worth, you're in the DFW Metroplex. There's a lot more to do than just your zip code and just your city. We are so excited that you have chosen Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as a place to create your memories and call home. If this is your first time to this channel, subscribe below, press the bell, and you'll be notified anytime something new is going down in and around our Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And if you are considering living in Keller or Southlake, message me, call me, comment below, and let's get together and say, hey, which one of these cities truly is the best place for you to call home?